My name is Bert Wilson, and I'm a longtime board member of Pangea World Theater. Before I introduce our artist today, I want to acknowledge that we are on the sacred traditional lands of the Dakota, and it is an honor to live, work, and create community alongside Dakota, Ojibwe, and First Nations here in the Twin Cities. I'm so pleased to be able to introduce this project, Another World is Possible, Pangea Artists and Vision, where we're asking our staff members, most of whom are artists, to respond to the current times. At this time, when it feels impossible to simply go back to work, we ask the artists of our ensemble to respond to this time, this space, this moment. Going back to business as usual is not possible. We are charging the artist activists we work with every day to document this moment in history, this potent moment charged with resistance. It is fitting that our first presentation is by Suzanne Cross, who is playwright and actor and also our wonderful resident stage manager and coordinator of national and local events.
Thank you so much, Bert. And thank you for your amazing support as a board member of Pangea World Theater. I'm so thrilled to be able to present my play, Open Water, and the other amazing art that you'll see this evening. And I first want to say thank you so much to Pangea World Theater. Without you, none of this would be possible. So thank you. I've said throughout my life that racism is designed to take my language away, that it leaves me breathless and paralyzed, and I never know what to say in that moment. I usually know exactly what to say a few moments later, but in that moment, I am speechless. So in an attempt to heal, process, take my language back, 10 years ago, I wrote a 10-minute conversation between two characters, Miles and Linda. I started to play with the themes of power and shame and fear, manipulation and retaliation, trying to find a way to unclench my fists and to relax my body and to find safety and solace in something. And I did that in the writing. I revisited this play this last fall and realized that the words weren't enough. This lives in my body. So I want to also say a huge thank you to the incredible Marcella Michelle, who you'll see a movement piece from later on in the program, who helped me explore and understand what is happening in my body. So I invite you all to go on an artistic exploration and different art forms to express and explore what goes through one's mind and body when our language and security are ripped away. So thank you all for coming and attending. And at this moment, I would like to welcome all of the incredible artists that you're going to meet to join me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Duck Washington, and I have the pleasure of playing Miles in the piece.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Laurel, and I'm reading for the role of Linda.
I'm so sorry. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Morgan, and I am reading the stage directions.
Hello, my name is Marcella, and I am a movement artist who provided some video for this work.
Open Water by Suzanne Cross. Characters: Linda, late 30s, commercial hard, moneylender specializing in cross-collateralization. Miles, late 40s, janitor. A large office, dramatically large desk taking up most of the stage. Desk is riddled with files. Night. Scene 1, lights up. Linda is on the phone behind her desk. The light bulb above her flickers on and off. It is late into the evening. Linda is on the phone.
So we are going out tonight.
Light flickers.
Uh-huh.
Light flickers.
Well, keep trying, but I won't take no for an answer.
Light flickers.
You know you've used that excuse before, right? So we're at the recycled material phase already? All right, I'm not asking anymore.
Looks up at the light.
Jesus, this place is going to shit.
Light flickers.
What? Oh no, I think the light in my office has a short. Oh, shut up, I could have been an electrician. You don't even know what kind of skills I have.
Light flickers.
Oh, so that sparked your interest, All right, fine. Stay home. It doesn't affect my night.
Light flickers, then remains on. Miles enters, pushing a mop bucket.
I'm sorry, Linda. I can come back later.
I'm just leaving. I'll have to let you go. Okay, no, I know. No worries. I'll be gone in a sec. This light keeps going on and off and the floors are filthy.
Looking up at the light.
It seems fine now.
Oh, does it?
I'll take a look at it after you're gone. I'll just get my broom and start over here if that's all right.
Linda nods while searching her desk filled with files. Miles exits and returns with a broom and dustpan. He starts sweeping the opposite side of the stage.
Long night?
Yeah, I'm usually the last one here. There's lots to do.
Linda starts putting files into her briefcase.
I hear you. With Carl gone, they've doubled my floors.
Oh.
Stroke.
What?
Carl?
Who?
A stroke.
What?
That's why Carl's gone. I'm his replacement until a temp comes on.
Oh, that's too... Where is that?
Linda is searching her desk. The light starts to flicker.
I just had it.
You missing something?
Yes.
Well, can I help?
No, just stop cleaning until I find my...
Linda frantically going through her desk.
I just had it. If I can't find this file...
Maybe I should just...
Oh, are you going to give me advice? Why don't you just focus on what you can handle?
Linda pointing at the light.
Do you even understand what we do here?
Linda, I didn't mean any...
Just stop talking.
Miles reaches down by her desk to a file that fell on the floor, hands it to Linda. Light flickers and then remains on. Linda takes the file from Miles and looks through it.
Thank God.
Everything all right then?
Yes, this is it.
I think I'll just work on the other offices until you're finished. Have a nice night now.
I'm sorry. I just this case is really important to me. To be honest, it's my first one on my own. So I'm sorry. I lost it there for a second.
No, it's all right. There's no need to explain. I'll be back and I'll fix that light for you.
No, please stay. Don't stop your work because of my freak out. God, I'm embarrassed. Here.
Linda reaching into her desk drawer.
I always keep something around to help me get through. After that display, I think I owe you a drink.
She sets a bottle and 2 glasses on the desk.
Oh, no, that's not necessary.
I insist. Just one to show you I'm not the devil and we'll both be on our way. Deal?
Well, I guess one won't hurt and we could all relax a little.
Yeah, tell me about it. This job can be a nightmare.
Linda hands Miles a drink and motions for him to sit down. He sits across from the desk as Linda leans against it.
What's the case?
It's my first delinquent cross collateral.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll explain. So this small private business decided it would be an intelligent decision on their part to take out a huge loan that they couldn't afford by putting their home up as collateral, which is fine, but then the geniuses let that loan become delinquent, causing investors to scramble and use everything they own as cross collateral.
I see. Well, that's a shame.
Wait, it gets better. So someone can use the collateral for one loan as collateral for another. And in this case, we're talking vehicles and a mortgage.
Uh-huh.
And then these lucky bastards also have a checking account with us, giving me the right to freeze the account and liquidize everything.
You sound proud.
Linda takes Miles's glass from him and crosses behind the desk to refill both glasses.
Oh, I am.
Well, it's a job.
Miles stands up and grabs the broom to resume sweeping.
It's a damn good one. I have no complaints.
Well, good to hear. I like my job. You spend most of your life at work. It should be something that you're proud to do.
Last one?
Linda holds out the bottle to refill his glass.
I couldn't.
Come on. After this, I'll let you get back to work.
With all due respect, this work does take time.
I know. And after this one, I will be on my way.
Linda starts to pour. Miles crosses over to her and puts his hand over his glass, signaling he has had enough. Linda takes a step back quickly, holding the bottle to her chest.
Fine. I'll just drink alone.
Linda refills her glass and puts the bottle on the desk.
Now, what were you saying before?
Huh?
About your job?
Pride.
Excuse me?
In your work. Someone should take pride in what they do, feel like it matters.
I agree. That's how I view it. I'm keeping people honest. Don't put something up that's not really yours.
Explain.
Well, if you can't afford it, then it's not yours.
I mean, if that's how you view it.
It might be hard for you to understand.
Light flickers.
I just know that some folks who have a tough go at it, some folks just have a tough go at it no matter how hard they try.
And I call bullshit. The job market is open water, and sometimes you have to get your hands dirty. If people educate themselves and work hard, then people like me won't have to take their shit.
Educate themselves.
Yep.
For an educated woman, you sure do swear a lot.
Nice. I knew I liked you.
This is getting a little strong for me.
Miles crosses over to the mop bucket. The light starts to flicker.
Okay, let's switch directions. Do you have kids?
2.
Boy and girl?
2 boys.
Linda points at the light.
Are they gonna carry on the family business? Because I know of a light that could use a...
Did that family have kids?
What?
That family, that small business you were telling me about? I'm assuming it was a family. Were there kids involved?
The light continues to flicker.
I believe so.
Well, what do you call that?
Hey, I'm just messing around. There's no need to get upset.
I'm not gonna bite. I'm done playing your game.
Miles starts packing up, as if to leave.
Why are you getting so angry? We're having a civilized conversation.
The light continues to flicker, then remains on.
I should have known better. There's no way you'd understand what we do here.
All I know is that after a while, what you do, it crawls inside of you.
Ooh, is that some kind of janitor voodoo curse? I'd better be careful now.
So tell me, what do you call that?
Call what?
The kids. What do you call what you did to those kids?
I don't think about it. That is someone else's job.
And you can live with that?
I live just fine.
Light flicker.
And on that note, I'm going to go home. Don't forget about the floor and that light.
Linda grabs her suitcase and pushes the bottle over to the other side of the desk, by Miles.
Here, take this with you. Consider it a gift.
The light continues to flicker, then remains on. Now it's much brighter than it was before.
Can I ask you what this was?
What?
The drink? The speech?
Just think of it as more education.
Miles takes the bottle and walks over to his mop bucket.
You're right, you know.
Oh yeah, about what?
Sometimes you do have to get your hands dirty.
Miles kicks the mop bucket and violently tosses the black water onto the floor. The water quickly surrounds Linda. Linda jumps on top of the desk screaming. The water rises and keeps pouring out of the bucket until the desk is almost swallowed whole. The light flickers rapidly, then grows bright and surrounds Linda and the desk in a bright flood of light.
What the fuck is wrong with you? I hope you know that spirited gesture just cost you your fucking job.
As Linda is screaming, slowly the sound of electricity starts and increases until it drowns her out. Miles calmly crosses to the door and takes a long drink from the bottle.
Open water. Someone will fix that light in the morning.
Miles exits. Blackout.
Thank you all so much for watching for the first time the reading of Open Water. Thank you all so much. And I'm very excited to reintroduce Marcella Michelle.
Hello, everybody. Happy Juneteenth. I'm so honored to be here on this day of celebration of Black joy and liberation and beauty with my beloved friend, Suzanne, who has written this beautiful, timely work. When Suzanne asked me a couple of days ago if I would provide some movement in response to the work, I immediately said yes, of course, was so excited to be doing this, and read the play and slept and read the play again in the morning and went into my backyard and moved around for a while and edited this video that you're about to see in response to Open Water by Suzanne Cross.
Thank you.
With Metro X Mobile in the brand new iPhone SE. Now at Metro, get the iPhone SE for less than $100 for the Switch.
Thank you all so much for watching that piece. Now we are going to move into the discussion part of the evening. But before we bring all the artists on, I would like to request a moment of stillness as we think about the prompt for our discussion. The prompt for our discussion is, did you see yourself in the art presented? If so, when? So we're going to bring up the slide of that prompt, and we're just going to sit in a moment of stillness. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for that moment. I would like to invite all the artists back with us. Wonderful. Coming all back in. Beautiful, beautiful. Great. Great. Is Edna here with us? Wonderful. Edna will be holding our discussion as our facilitator. She'll be coming on just momentarily. We'll be going through and also being able to hear some comments that you have on Facebook Live. So please start sharing any of those feelings, thoughts that are coming up with that prompt if you see yourself in the art. And if so, when? All right, well, also, beautiful part of doing live theater through the internet with all of you. Edna is a beautiful, incredible artist that I've worked with and teaching artist who will be joining us shortly. But we will actually start the discussion here, and then she will join us when she can. So the one thing I kind of want to kind of hold us when we start this discussion is that we are going to be speaking from a space of acceptance and understanding as we're going through this discussion. We're going to be talking in I statements and really holding each other as we are absorbing and talking about this, this work and the layers of this work. I would first love to turn the beginning of the discussion over to Marcella.
Thank you, Suzanne. When I think about the question, do I see myself in this work? And if so, when, where? Obviously, I'm in the video, but the thing that I wanted to respond to in the video, or the feelings that I was feeling when I was moving around in my backyard, was thinking about all of the times that I have been trapped, essentially, by whiteness, by class, by gender, by the intersection of those things, but particularly race. And that feeling of trying to escape a moment, a particular interaction, I have had a lot of experiences. I don't know what it is about me, but white people love to talk to me about how they feel about things that they have feelings about. Just the craziest things, you know, and it's happened in places of work, really uncomfortable situations. It's happened in relationships, it's happened interpersonally, and it happens on a national scale and on a global scale on this planet, unfortunately, because of colonization and globalization and capitalism. And so I really related to that feeling where this person was just trying to do their job, and there was no really way to satisfy this woman, it seemed. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And that feeling of constantly this sort of rutting, this sort of stasis, like you're like moving in stasis, you know? Like you can't really get off the ground, you can't really launch off the pad, or no matter how high you jump, there's always like a new bar to be reached. I really felt that in the character of Miles, and have really felt that at various times in my life. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Would anybody else who's up here on the panel like to?
Yeah. Marcella talked about feeling trapped entering into white spaces, and I have to say that I relate to that a lot. I also saw it very vividly in both the movement piece and my approach to Miles as a character. From the beginning, there's a certain kind of restraint, like you're pushing against something that's holding you back. That's built into us, you know, intrinsically. It's very difficult to enter a space where we don't have power and feel the freedom to be ourselves, or say the things that are on our mind that we want to speak out. And so, I mean, even in those first interactions of oh, like I'm entering into your space, I'm sorry, like at the beginning, Miles almost starts the conversation on an apology because he knows that he's upsetting the white normal just by existing. And so I think that translates into the body. And it's definitely something I find myself doing, especially in strange places or places where I'm, walking in and like, oh, when I walk into this meeting, are they gonna recognize me as being equal at the table, or are they gonna make assumptions about me when I walk through the door about my experience, my education level, my my home life, my health. There's so many assumptions that we make when we encounter someone, and I think that's something that people of color deal with all the time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you, Doug. Kelsey or Elizabeth?
Yeah, we had talked about in rehearsal that what Doug was saying, just those snap judgments that you can make about people based on appearance or their job or status or whatever the case may be. So I definitely see myself in both of these characters as, on the one hand, I am a privileged white lady and there's power there. And kind of, making those snap judgments and moments when I have felt entitled or impatient with people, with strangers, things like that. I'm sure I've been complicit in that kind of behavior. And then on the other hand, I was a professional house cleaner for 4 years, so I'm definitely relate to Miles in that feeling of entering someone else's space and being viewed as inferior because you're providing a service that's literally to clean up after another person. And we have kind of a stigma with that as a job. And how that you hold that in your body, like what Marcella was saying too, just that tension that's there of entering a space where you don't feel like you have equal power. And another thing for this character of Linda is that I think she feels like, we talked about this in rehearsal, that she feels like, even though she and Miles are coworkers, they work in the same building, same space, she's probably never felt like she has to get to know him, or she doesn't know who Carl, his predecessor, is. She's not really paying attention to the maintenance staff at all, because she probably feels that they're beneath her, and it's not her responsibility to be paying attention to them in their lives. And that's definitely saying something.
Thank you.
One of the things that that also struck me in Marcella's movement piece is that that burst of water coming forth from the mouth at the end of the piece, which is reflexive of the huge amount of water that basically drowns the performance space when he tips the bucket. I think that is very reflexive of that restraint, that basically this character's experiences and emotions, he's really holding back a tidal wave until it gets to a point where it breaks, which I think is a very sad but very realistic image of what a lot of us are bringing into our daily lives.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's also, I think, really effective, interesting writing, because it's impossible for me to go to the water and to not think about the history of my people's relationship to water. It's just impossible. And I knew after I read the script and slept with it and read it again, I knew that I wanted water to be present somewhere in what I was doing, but I didn't know necessarily how I wanted to use it. And I was drinking water because it is good for you to hydrate and nourish, and because it was like, that was like a 95-degree day. But the spitting out for me, I wanted this sense of control. I wanted this sort of like, I was thinking as I was spitting it out, it's like how, like, I'm wasting this thing that could be nourishing me because I'm angry. And I have to quell or quench or put out this fire. I will say, for those of us who are water conscious, I did not waste that water. I have an arugula plant from my backyard, and so I spit it into the arugula. Then go back into my body, so it's full cycle. But yeah, it's this sort of tensile anger, controlled frustration, because sometimes even when we're seething, we can't really pop off to the full extent that we would like for risk of murder.
I would love to thank you all so much for what you shared. Edna has joined us, so I would love to bring Edna into the space, and also hear from Bert and Elizabeth, and then we'll open up more. We have a lot coming in through the comments as well, so I'm excited to get to that. But I'd love to hear from Bert or Elizabeth. Thanks.
Oh, well, I just wanted to say these are obviously very powerful pieces, both Suzanne's script and Marcella's movement. They strike a chord in people watching or listening or viewing it. And I think it's really easy for this prompt of where do we see ourselves in these pieces. It's really easy to identify with the struggles of Miles and the struggles portrayed in Marcella's piece. I think the hard thing that especially white people watching right now, and myself and Kelsey, need to do is that we have to examine, where are we Linda? And it is hard to do that, to like find the spots where you have failed, that your assumptions have taken over. So this script and these pieces have been really good in like examining that and trying to break down any time in my life, either in the past or present, when you might veer into something that would be violent towards people? They seem so innocuous. Like, you can read the script and be like, oh, what's the problem? But it's clearly a huge buildup of microaggressions, and it's, I think, really important for white people to view this as well and take that away from your piece.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. Bert, I don't want to put you on the spot. I just haven't heard your voice yet. If you'd like to share, that's great. If not, we can go to the comments.
Oh no, I can share a little bit. Because in college, I worked food service, and I was a janitor. So I've done that work, and also, like, with my job now, a computer programmer, and I'm in an office. I have my own desk, so kind of have been on both extremes, and I really felt a lot for the janitor, for Duck, and I think also our other character, like, you can learn what not to do, like what behaviors not. She's like, it's a show of what not to do. Don't, she was callous and self-centered. And I think also on the bigger picture, a social picture, that if you look at some businesses at the very top, like these, corporations, some of them make these very cold decisions that crush people, and they're not even aware of it. So that's also, I see it as kind of a parable about the the cold 1%ers versus everybody else. Not all 1%ers are like that. I mean, there some people are very generous. Bush family, for example, like George Sr. said, find a charity and make it your favorite, and really invest. So just because someone is wealthy doesn't mean they're going to be callous, but there's a lot of that other stuff going on. So that's what I had to share.
Thank you so much, Bert. Edna, love to hear your voice. Anything you thought or felt throughout the performances?
I was definitely captivated by Marcella movement piece. It kind of drew me into the feeling of intensity. And I appreciated that part, and I think that it added a huge component to the whole.
And I'm so sorry, Edna, your sound, I got that feeling of intensity. I kind of wanted to go as long as we could. That with Marcella's piece, that feeling of intensity. Your sound's just going in and out. So a little show note for everybody out there.
And then I wanted to bring in some of the comments that we also got from people that's pull up his name, but he said that he really appreciated.
All right, yeah, I'm so sorry about your sound. We're gonna take Edna's sound out for right now, just because it keeps going in and out. And then we're gonna still talk about those comments. And Edna, I was gonna say a little show note behind the scenes. We have a lovely little comment feature just for us. So Edna, please share your thoughts there, and then I will express that to the group. Thank you so much for being here. And like Edna was saying, we do have some incredible things that are being sent to us in this webinar, so as to see. I'm just going to share a few of them and then open up the discussion back and forth again. Punker, if y'all know him, artistic director of Pangea World Theater, said that he saw himself in the politeness of Miles, who's trying his best to remain human. That's beautiful. One more and then I'll open it up. Pedro said in Marcella's piece, Marcella had to move like she was going to fly, but couldn't. Yet she tried and tried like it was going to work anytime. And that really hits me. And there's been a lot others that we have a lot of time, so we'll get to. Just personally, that resonates with me, and in Marcella's movement piece of it's not going to matter this time. I'm going to belong this time. If I do this, it's going to work. If I do different ways of assimilating myself to a culture, it's going to matter. And then throughout that, I keep losing and losing more of who I am. And that's kind of what this work was coming from, is that I'm not crazy. When I'm at that Cub Foods, that happened. And even if I'm around a lot of white people who don't see it, like it didn't happen, this is something I've started saying, is that if a Black person tells you it happened, it happened. If a woman tells you it happened, like that's all we have to do. That's all we have to talk about. And then how are those who are around in positions of power going to step up in a way that is also holding up that person, that Black person in that moment? And when, and just speaking for myself, I statements when I feel terrified to do so. And then the people in power around me sometimes also feel terrified to do so. Somebody has to do so. So that comment from Pedro just hit me that way. I would love to open it up again. Any thoughts that are bubbling up in this moment?
It was, thank you for those comments, Dipankar and Pedro. It was really imperative to me to end the video in that moment of stillness, being in the air, being mid-flight. I feel like we have had to learn to fly. I think the level of excellence that Black people have achieved within the confines of capitalism, as entertainers, as athletes, as artists, so much of that is tied to this history where that was sort of the only way that we could be invited to the table, that we could be at the party, that we could get into the door, was by having some sort of skill set that had some sort of entertainment value. And so there's this thing, right, where it's like, okay, you're jumping because you're trying to like get over these things, you're trying to reach these things. But there's also this beauty that I think Pedro is speaking to, this thing that's like, well, like maybe this time, you know, I will leap off into the sky. I've always wondered if Black people could fly, if we learned how to fly, would they police the skies? What would be the response to that?
Thank you. Any other thoughts from the group?
I was just thinking a little bit about, there's a point where Linda's like, of course I shouldn't have expected you to understand, where she thinks she's been good intentioned and well intentioned through this whole interaction, but the level of bias and the level of microaggression that's going on, she's totally blind to. I think she would feel like she was doing a good thing by having this moment with Miles, where what she does is brutalize him over the course of several minutes. I think that is something that we have to be aware of, as Elizabeth was speaking before. You know, and it's just not white people, but we all have to be aware, like, you know, if we have privilege and we hold power in a situation, we have to understand, we have to come to a better understanding and sensitivity to the things that we do and how it might impact the environment of the people we work with, the people we live with, you know, because it makes life harder for everybody. It fills us with that sense of pain, with that sense of loss, that sense that we can't be ones that can fly in an environment.
Yes, thank you. Just along that, there's a comment from Ramona. I felt such anxiety and tension watching. And as I write this, I'm realizing I often feel that way in real life when I'm witnessing. That goes along with what, yeah, like what you were saying. And I think that's why I was so excited with the collaboration with talking with Marcella, in realizing that it is, right? It's so much in my body, and it's so much in, and again, things that I can't verbalize. And that's also when I was writing it with the water, and then also with the light and other things, using kind of those symbols to try to illuminate that is the things that are not seen. If that kind of makes sense. Wonderful. All right. Any other thoughts? We're wrapping up a little close to time now. I'm trying to look through the comments if I see anything else. Jared said, "Is this going to be part of a larger work?" I sure hope so. If you know of any, grants, send them my way. People just enjoying the piece. Wonderful.
I really liked Suzanne Ricardo had a comment.
Oh, please. Do you see it?
Yeah. Surprisingly, as a Black person, I saw myself in Kelsey character when she said, "I don't think about those people, the family whose lives she's turning upside down. I'm thinking about Jamaica Kincaid's quote, perhaps every good things come that stands before comes at great cost to someone else." Maybe a typo there. "I'd rather not think about the blessings that come to me that are tied to someone else's loss." And I think similar to what Duck was saying about like, where does our privilege lie, and checking in. I think too, there's something to be said for the ways in which we learn violent behavior from those who are violent towards us. I think that it's impossible to say, for me, I belong to a class of people that has been subjugated in this way, and to claim that I haven't learned any of those oppressive traits. And so it is interesting to me to check in and to see where that kind of whiteness or that kind of violence crops up within me. Things that I have learned, things that I've picked up that that are rooted in sort of self-loathing, or that are rooted in we mimic what we see, and I think that there's something to be said for that too. We've all learned in some ways this despondence, this apathy for our neighbors and people that even sometimes we claim to love. It can be easy to, like Ricardo was saying, to just not even think about the harm that we're causing.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to add something that kind of piggyback a bit on what you're saying, made me think of some things too, is that America, we look at ourselves, America, we're 4% of the world population, and that some of the behaviors or some of the things that the Kelsey character, perhaps we do that, we really have to look at ourselves. Like we buy an iPhone. Well, the iPhone didn't just come from nowhere. It was, probably made overseas by people we don't know their names. And to be honest, some Americans would say, well, I don't know them, and I don't really care that much about their suffering. So I think on a world scale, in a way that being Americans, we're kind of, in a world perspective, perhaps we're kind of white, as far as like the, domination.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both Bert and Marcella that I think the concept of that compartmentalization of your compassion is definitely part of privilege, definitely part of white privilege or American or westernized privilege, particularly white. And yeah, that kind of just choosing who you don't see, or who you choose not to see, is something that, yeah, we really, white people especially, really need to think about in terms of who's in our neighborhood, who are our neighbors, who is our community, yeah, what products are we buying, what businesses are we supporting. And clearly for the character of Linda, that's been very easy for her to, and something that she's learned from her supervisors and coworkers. and has never confronted it, you know, that she has that privilege to be able to just not think about it because it's someone else's job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Marcella made a comment last night, actually, that was really eye-opening for both me and Suzanne, even though she had written it at this time, was that it was written during that economic collapse in 2008. And there is a lot of that, like the violence done by capitalism. And like Bert was saying with the iPhones, it goes into every product. Like we don't think about, you know, the slave labor, the child labor that went into some things that are just so common that people buy and purchase and just cut off their sympathy or empathy. They don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't really understand what cross-collateral, what I like can't even begin. Actually, I have to give a shout out to my partner who read the play with me. She was the one that was like, when was this written? Oh, the crash. But it does make me think about, though it makes me think about Marx, it makes me think about Brecht, it makes me think about the ways in which our labor is taken from us. And how something I think I said it yesterday, there's no sort of class solidarity here. Race, unfortunately, divides these two people from being able to have any sort of class solidarity as workers. I mean, she's higher in the echelon, but she's a worker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, since for Suzanne and Kelsey, like we had talked about like the learning of violence, and I'm curious if you think, if like Suzanne, while you were writing the character, or Kelsey while you were performing the character, if you thought of the idea of the abuses that Linda might see in the workplace kind of tying into her getting some kind of gratification of building this status relationship within that same structure, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. We are around the time when we were going to start wrapping up, but I would love to actually chime in on that a little bit. But Kelsey, if you want to just take a minute, if you have any response to that.
Yeah, I think she's kind of trying to climb that corporate ladder. She's definitely been locked into that capitalistic dream, and yeah, has probably learned how to treat other people, whether they are clients she's working with or janitors who clean up her office. I think she's learned that kind of coldness and that distancing herself and compartmentalizing, definitely from her previous work experience. Because some of those lines are like, I struggled, like, oh God, how do you deliver saying this without sounding like such a monster? You know, oh, you wouldn't understand, or but people do talk like that, and I think that's part of the brilliance of the script. She doesn't second guess.
Yes. And I'll start bringing us to a close, but I have a burning response. Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you, Duck. Yeah, it's from seeing that most of my life, and definitely being influenced and seeing at that time people of privilege, white people who had been working in a factory for 40 years or working in a company for 40 years, all of a sudden they're in a tent on the side of the road. I mean, that's what was happening at that time. And that's privileged white people, right? And then seeing what was happening in my community in North Minneapolis, seeing what was happening in other areas during that time. And also seeing and being a part of that, of having that upon me, and also using some of those tactics myself. Absolutely, I see myself in ways in Linda as well. That when you see something that at the beginning of the play, how she's rejected, right? She's rejected, she's feeling a little unsteady. How can she grab that power? What can she use in that moment to feel better? And a lot of times, again, as a Black woman, I've been that tool that someone can use to feel better in that moment. And then I've seen it happen. And then the more that happens in liked groups, the more that becomes normal, that is a behavior that that white people feel that this is something, because nobody is stopping it, right? And then it does, just as you said, Duck, it does grow and grow and become that norm. And wanting to present this work is how do we change those ways of that norm? But yeah, thank you all so much for being here, for being part of this discussion. Thank you so much, everybody on Facebook, for being part of this discussion. And thank you. And we are going to come to a close here, start wrapping things up. Thank you all so much. There are a few people that we need to thank that we're definitely working behind the scenes in this work. So we're going to bring up kind of a thank you slide at this time. Everybody can mute their video. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Great. All right. Well, there it is. Like, I haven't known these people my whole life, but I need the screen to do it. Thank you all so much. Again, the artists, Duck, Kelsey, Marcella with the beautiful movement work, and Edna, thank you so much for being here. And behind the scenes, Elizabeth Morgan reading the stage direction. Thank you. Jenny, people don't know, Jenny has been calling this entire show and making everything look beautiful. Other support, Molly, Adeline, Kayla made this beautiful graphic. Emily's been supporting on social media. And I can't forget the other members of our beautiful ensemble at Pangea, Mina DePunker, Bert, who was representative of the board here, Katya, Julia, Sir Curtis Kirby III, I'm going to say that full name for sure, Ismail, Ellen, Sophie, and Alexa, who are our two interns. So thank you all so much. This is just such a dream come true. I would like to bring everybody back. You're going to see a flood of people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Woo! Happy Juneteenth, everyone. Thank you all so much.